All right. Good morning, everybody. I want to thank you all for joining me for today's webinar on personalizing your preferences. Essentially, what we're going to be covering is the general preferences page and the portal preferences page in your Flex menu. And we're just going to cover what I think are kind of the big or important settings that you guys should check out and think about setting up for yourself. All right, let's just jump into it. So here we are on the Flex dashboard, and there's a few ways to find your general or portal preference page. I think I'll start with general preferences this morning. So for me, I have general preferences favorited. So it is along the top here at my in my hotbar. You can also search for menu items in the quick launch bar here. So typically where you go to enter in MLS numbers or addresses, if you type in preferences, oh, actually, I think I have to start with general. Yeah, okay, there we go. So if you're looking for your general preferences, just search general in the menu item. Will appear as one of your search results in this quick launch bar. And you can do the same thing for portal as well. You type in portal, there is the menu item for portal preferences. So one way to find it, of course, you can just go into the menu itself, right? Open the menu. There is a whole preferences header here, and general preferences and portal preferences are here for you to find. And just like the quick launch, you can search in the menu right here for preferences. And there we go. We get both of them. All right. So now let's actually click into the general preferences. So the first tab we land on is the search tab here. A couple things that you can choose to do. For example, like default font size. So you can actually change this on the fly now. But when you're viewing a list of results, the size of the text that displays is set here primarily, and then you can increase or decrease it, hitting the plus or minus when you're actually on the list view. I'll skip over location searching because that's about IDX stuff, but expand all fields for quick searches. So when you're running a quick search, you may have in your mind, right, the image of the left-hand panel that has all of your data fields in it. When you want to enter data into them, right, you have to click on them and then it opens up to allow you to enter in whatever the criteria is for that field. Having this turned on will actually just have those fields expanded for you. So I think, at least this is me personally, have this setting turned on if you do a lot of like custom quick search templates where you have just an isolated handful of fields that you're utilizing. When you have, or when you're using just the standard quick search templates like residential or land or multi, there's a lot of fields there. And so when you have it set to be open for that, it does take up quite a bit more space. So this is kind of up to personal preference if you would rather scroll a little bit more or if you'd rather have to click to open fields. So play around, see what you like. So the default for full listing reports from search results should be set to private. That's the version you guys want. So this is essentially asking when you're viewing a report from a listing, do you want the public version or the private version displayed? We, of course, want the private. Here's where you choose which report is the default. So when you first search for an MLS number and you click in to see the details of it, typically that is the detail report that you're viewing. But if you like one of the other reports better, or if you have a custom report, feel free to set that as your default. And choosing a default business card. So we have the generic and the profile business, largely the same thing. I think the difference is the size. I think the generic card takes up a little more space in the signature block. But don't quote me on that. Keeping it the generic card is totally fine, right? So this is going to include your profile picture, the office logo if you have one uploaded, your full name, your email, your phone number, all of your basic contact information that lives already pre-generated in your generic business card. Moving on to the email tab, right? So we have default type of email. So HTML versus text. So HTML allows you to have, I guess, styles in your email. And what I mean by that is like bold text, italicized, color text, things that are just outside of the plain black and white text in an email. So by default, we have you guys set up for HTML. Not sure how much customization we're doing out of the emails in Flex. But the reason we give you this option is because there are some email like inboxes that just don't accept HTML. So if you're having trouble getting through to one of your clients, maybe selecting text for default, then sending them an email, it might help. It might help get the email through. Default email signature to checked. When this is turned on, it's just saying, yes, please apply my signature card automatically for me. Default email attachments, definitely come in here and check these things off, at least the ones that you want your clients to get or you want your clients to see. So when you're manually sending listings to your clients, anything checked off in blue is going to be included in that link, like documents, for example, I know is the important one. So double check here, because if this is turned off like this, it means your clients aren't seeing the documents on the listings. Of course, there is some more caveat to that, right? The listing agent of the listing you're sending has to have uploaded it as a public document as well. So in order for your clients to see kind of like the documents of the listing, it's a 2 to 3 part process that requires everybody to do it in the right way. So I'm just going to keep that on. Daily hot sheet. Just recently had a question about this actually. So in the Flex menu, you have 2 different hot sheets you can customize. So beyond the gadget on your dashboard, you have a 24-hour hot sheet and you have a custom hot sheet. If you guys use that and you come in every morning and you run the custom hot sheet to see what's new for that day under your criteria, you can actually just get that setting or that hot sheet and those settings emailed to you daily. So if I select custom hot sheet here, I believe it's going to come out at 7 or 8 a.m. our time. Whatever settings you have for the custom hot sheet in the menu item is what is going to send to you that next morning. So it might be convenient if you're using that hot sheet menu item. I don't think anything else here is super important. I mean, Flex MLS, email, and print. So when you're sending a manual email out, the system might ask you, do you want to send the interactive or the printer friendly? 9 times or 99 times out of 100, highly recommend sending the interactive version and not just the flat PDF. So the printer friendly is just a flat PDF. It's not going to update as the listing updates. So what you send them today might not be true tomorrow when they check on the listing. So if you're manually sending an email, do interactive. Because again, if you send the printer friendly and they view it tomorrow, something could have changed and they're not going to know. Default configuration, this is just saying when you're sending reports, do you want it to be set to public or private? Public probably is the better choice because you're sending it out to a potential client or maybe just like a customer. Dashboard tab, right? View first page viewed after login. So when you first log in, do you want to land on a dashboard like I did or do? A quick search or a specific saved search. So if you want to jump right into running quick searches, here's the way to do it. Listings to expire. So on the dashboard gadget, my listings, you can set how many days before a listing expires that it's going to show up under the listings to expire section. So you kind of give yourself a heads up about upcoming expiring listings. Sold listings is much in the same kind of vein. How many days after your listing sold is closed do you want it to remain on your My Listings page? So maybe you want it there all year long because you want to track all of your sold listings throughout the year through that gadget. But if you also sell a lot of listings, it could just bungle up that page and kind of make it inconvenient to use. So kind of up to you. If we go over to listings, so this is also about the My Listings page, not just the gadget here. So the My Listings page, what statuses to include? So when you're looking at the My Listings page, one common thing that I hear quite a bit is I have an active under contract listing, but it's not showing up in my My Listings page. That is because, for some weird reason, by default, active under contract is turned off. So come into this setting, check off these status types that you want to stay included on your My Listings page. And just like before, right, the My Listings off market. So on the My Listings page, not just the gadget, how many days do you want your off market listings? So like canceled or expired, sold, that kind of thing. How long do you want those to remain on your My Listings page? Again, this is a balance between convenience of seeing all the work you are doing or have done and staying organized and uncluttered. That's the balance to strike. Over to notifications. So where on the dashboard, as we talked about a couple tabs ago, you could set yourself up to say 7 days before a listing expires, put it on my listings to expire page. Here, you can actually just get yourself an email sent to you. So with this turned on, 7 days before one of my listings expiration dates, Flex will send me an email reminder just saying, hey, this listing of yours is going to expire in 7 days. Don't forget about it. This should give you the opportunity to figure out what the next steps are with your client. And if 7 days doesn't feel like enough, set it up to 14, set it up to 30. 365, I believe you can do, but I feel like you would get it just the day after you posted. So make it realistic. I think that is about the important one. So, opt out of bulk emails by default is turned off. This setting isn't relevant to main listings. We do not want, nor do we at all, share bulk email addresses of fellow agents. We do not want to be the middleman to kind of like mass email advertisements. That's just not our role, right? That's not for us to decide or facilitate. And so we do have something called reverse prospecting, and that function will pull relevant agents' email addresses for you to contact. But in no way are we just going to hand out all of the email addresses of our agents. Not for us to do. If you are really looking to do mass email campaigns, reach out to your local board. My understanding is a lot of them do share the list of email addresses for their members. So that is the way to get mass emails, not through us. So don't worry about the setting. On or off, it doesn't change anything. Speaking of reverse prospecting, actually, in the contacts tab, enable reverse prospecting by default. So just to explain what reverse prospecting is a little bit more, when you run reverse prospecting on one of your listings, what the system is doing is it's looking for other agents who have clients that have saved searches that your property meets the criteria of. And I hope that makes sense. Another way to think about it is if your listing went out in a subscription email or matched the search results of someone else's client, the system is going to pair you guys together so that you can send that agent an email and you can essentially say, hey, I have this listing. It matches the criteria of client XYZ. Please let them know about it so we can try to get something set up. Broker attribution is a tab that you guys may or may not have. It's dependent on your designated broker's decision when it comes to broker attribution. But to explain it, if you do see it here, as I do, you want to make sure it's turned on. So broker attribution, when listings are sent through like IDX or through like the data feeds, right? We don't necessarily give away the specific listing agent's information or their name and everything like that, right? Because ultimately, when someone is viewing a listing, we want that consumer not to ditch their current agent for the convenience of contacting the listing agent directly. So the designated broker of your office has this decision to make. Do they, one, turn on broker attribution at all? Generally, yes. Two, do they set the broker attribution, so the phone number or email address associated with the listings on third-party sites? Do they set that themselves for everybody, or do they give each agent the opportunity to set it themselves? So come to your general preferences. If you don't see broker attribution, it means the DB is handling it for you, and it's probably just a general office phone number or email address so that they can figure out how to handle the leads that come from it. Or it's here and it might be turned off for you. If you do see it, make sure it's turned on, enter in your email or your phone number. Finally, we have comparables. So there is what Flex calls a one-click comparable search. Let me just show you real quick. I believe, yes. So just typing in Six Sparsum, random address. Don't ask me about it. So it gives you the most recent listings of Six Sparsum. But below that, it gives you the comparable search. So when I click here, let's just pretend I'm going to click here. It's going to bring me to a quick search with 6 Sparsum Street, or the pin of this listing, wherever it's pinned on the map, as the center point. And it's going to build out a radius and search criteria based on what is entered here on this screen. So you can change it, right? So if you do a comparable search, in this one-click way that I just showed you in the quick launch, you can update the criteria yourself manually as you normally do. This just gives you kind of like your footing or your grounding to start. So by default, it's going to try to do a 1/4 mile radius. That probably, depending on where you're doing business, is not going to be enough to find proper comparables. And then it also gives you things like price percent adjustment. So typically the system wants to find listings that are like right there at the same value. So you can say like price adjustment 10% less or 10% more, and it's going to take 10% on either side of the list price or the sold price of the listing that you're basing your search off of. And it's kind of the same deal with like bedroom adjustment. So if the property I'm searching for is 2-bedroom, by default, it's looking for exactly 2-bedroom properties, but you could do one less, one more. And now instead of looking specifically for 2, it's going to be looking for 1 to 3 bedrooms, so on and so forth. And the listing statuses, it's looking for active, pending, and closed, which makes the most sense. Actually, closed only really makes the most sense for proper comps, but give you guys the options for active, pending, and closed. If you want to see things like active under contract listings as well, I mean, what's really the difference between that and pending? Feel free to turn this on and hit save. And then by default, your one-click comparable search will include that status. But again, no fret, because even if the settings aren't set here, once you actually get into the search, you can then just select active under contract as an additional status, as if it was a normal quick search. Again, this is just kind of setting up the ground floor for your for your comparable searches. Okay, that's everything we have for our general preferences to cover today. The portal preferences should be a little quicker, so keep hanging tight. I appreciate it. So if we open up the menu, we scroll down and find portal preferences. Oops. Smashed my elbow. Okay, anyway, so we're in portal preferences now. And we have some, I'm going to call them buckets here with information inside. So just to cover each one, right, we have intro. It's just a quick, I think it's like a 1 to 2 minute video. And it is telling you about, it's introducing the portal to you. And this will give you a better insight of what the portal looks like, what it does, its functions, so that you can have a more educated conversation with your clients. Portal basics is just the portal name. So whatever is here, and it should just be your name. kind of ends at the end of the portal URL. Not really super important, but you are able to customize this. Portal enabled, turned on. So if you have this one turned off, the system shouldn't be asking you if you want to send portal invites. It should know that you are not wanting to use the portal at all. So this is a general setting. You just, if you want, keep this on. You just don't have to invite your clients to the portal if you don't really want to use it. Up to you. The My Listings bucket. So when a client of yours is using the portal, when they log in and they're at their like portal's homepage, even like the app, do you want to display to them your active listings? I mean, come on, yeah, duh. Like it's just more eyeballs on your listing, even if it's just one extra person. That is a big difference, right? So if you want your active listings to display for your clients in their portal, have this one turned on. Not much to say about the lead generation, IDX lead generation. This is kind of above my head, but give this a watch if it's something that piques your interest. The intro email, so this is just the email that is sent to your client when you send them a portal invite. What's good about this is it gives them clickable links to the iOS store or the Android store, depending on what phone they have, to download the app themselves. And it also gives them a short video. Look, it looks like I even clicked on it once. It gives them a short video as well, educating them on how to use the portal properly. But write something different if you want, totally fine. The news feed. So kind of just like any other social media platform, right? The news feed is kind of like the most recent or relevant listings to your client. So basically anything that comes through a subscription email or really new results to the searches that you have set up for your clients shows up in the news feed. Depending on what settings you have turned on in green on this page determines what listings will live on the news feed, right? So of course, active under contract, coming soon. Those are the like on market statuses. Kind of makes sense for those to be the obvious kind of general already preset choices. But maybe you want your clients to also see withdrawn listings because maybe they don't know, but withdrawn means that it's only temporarily off the market. So having withdrawn set up in your news feed keeps your client in the loop on listings that are maybe not ready right now, but in the future, there is a plan to switch those back to active, and your client can actually kind of be in the first to know about that change. So yeah, just take a peek here and see what makes the most sense for you. Default subscription settings. Speaking of your client being the first to know, this is also kind of important here. So the default subscription settings is choosing what events trigger subscription emails. So just reading the list of what I have selected, and I think this is all pretty much inherited. Let's just do the inherited defaults. Okay. So this is what you should look like by default. So anytime there's a new listing that meets your client's criteria, they get a subscription email. Whenever a price change happens to a listing in your client's criteria, they get an email. When it's sold, when it goes pending, if there's any status change really at all, right? That's what this one represents. Kind of eliminates the need for pending and sold, but that's okay. Um, any of these events will trigger it. So like an extension might be good to know as well. If they're kind of tracking a listing and it's like, oh, it's going to expire in 2 days. I guess we have to just shelf this one. It's not going to work out. If they want to know that they pushed the expiration date back, select extension. Back on market, kind of the same deal. It was withdrawn. It's now back to active. Boom, back on market will trigger an email event. So kind of like the more that is turned on here, the more subscription emails your clients are going to be privy to. And again, back on market, they could be one of the first to know that a withdrawn listing is now available again for them to see. Important stuff. Listing content options, by far the most important bucket in the portal preferences. If you want your clients to see things like the open houses, the documents, the tax info of the properties or of the listings that are in their portal, so meaning that they're running a search or they're viewing their news feed, in the portal, if you want them to see like documents and such, it needs to be turned on here. By default, all of these are turned off for some reason. So you will want to come in here and just turn on at least documents. Very important. Again, you could make the decision that you want your clients to be in contact with you and request documents from you to kind of force that communication back and forth. I've heard that is a strategy some agents have, but I know many people just want them to have the documents without needing to do anything. Just make sure it's turned on here. Again, as I said in the general preferences, it's also dependent on the listing agent of the property to upload the disclosure or the documents in general as public. If it's uploaded as private, they're not going through to your client anyway. And email listing links to round off the webinar today. Not super important. Essentially, whenever you send a client a link to and not the flat PDF, has to be the interactive version if you're manually sending an email for this to happen. When you send them an interactive version of a listing and they click that link, if they have a portal, it's essentially just going to move them to their portal and log them in, and it's going to land them on the portal. So when they do that, what do you want to have the portal display next to the listing or listings that you just manually sent? By default, it's the news feed. So they will see all the new listings on one side. They will see the current listings in their searches and subscriptions that are relevant to them on the other side. Again, show newsfeed, it's the same thing. Not sure why it's two options. You can show them email listings instead, so they get a list of all the listings you've emailed them specifically, not just what's in the newsfeed. Or you could show them a saved search of theirs. So it will land, again, it will have the listings you just sent them and then the results of a saved search in their portal. So up to you. I think the newsfeed is fine because it's essentially a collection of email listings and saved search listings all combined into one. Don't forget to hit save if you are making any changes. And let's reset back to the dashboard because that is the end of the webinar. And I really want to thank you guys for joining me today. Again, we went over personalizing your preferences. If you have any questions after the webinar ends, please feel free to give us a call at 780-1366 or email us at help@mainlistings.com. Thank you guys. Have a great day.